On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. HOPE. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know. Every day, one step at a time, man. We gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice, focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate. And seeking knowledge make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
So peace, everyone. I guess we could do some collective reading. We can go around the room. We ain't got as many people on right now. Everybody get a chance to read. But peace, transatlantic slave trade relooked, part 3. And that's today, May 22nd, 2024. We'll be on this same link. It's a reoccurring link every second and fourth Wednesday. At this time, we'll be on with a different topic or with another segment of the same topic. Are you prisoners of war in your ancestral land? Were you told the truth? And we're looking at the treaties to be able to reanalyze what was going on. And this is my contact, 706-957-2110 is where you can contact me. And that's our website where our 3 programs that we have in the community is a community clean team, chess program, and a community garden where we grow various fruits and vegetables from squash, okra, bell pepper, watermelon, basil, mint, eggplant, tomatoes,
Wow.
blueberries, collards, strawberries, beans, cucumbers, and other things that we grow at our community garden. And that's what somebody asked the question, what do we do next? And so we're doing what we do next. We have to continue it on and increase our outreach through our structured study groups. So as you all begin to learn more about your studies, or if you already know, start to conduct your PowerPoints. We have a presentation where we went over using PowerPoint. You can use Canva as Brother Kono uses to do your presentation so we can increase our outreach where we're teaching similar things, with one person not teaching secured party creditor, another person teaching treaties, another person teaching authenticate the birth certificate. We'll look goofy like that. We need to be on a uniform mindset on what the agenda is. What do we need to be on the same page? Post-millennium, reversion to sovereignty, international law, consuls, head of state, what is a state? Operating in statehood, all those things on a uniform mindset, paving our way forward. And but those are some of our programs that we use as the outreach mechanism: community clean team, community garden, and our chess program. And so you're able to screenshot this flyer and send it out, so we're able to get even unconscious mores on, to get new people on, so we can continue thriving in our efforts. And this is the conference, May 18th, the first Birthright and Nationality Claim Conference. In the photo, you see Brother Abdullah and Brother Shem, wonderful guys. I love the energy. I met them for the first time May 18th at the conference. It was amazing. I mean, full of information. If you missed it, it was full of information. Great, like I say, great energy, collaborating, no Negroism. Everybody was there ready to partake in the affairs of men. And we have some others that's on that we'll hear from them later. But I didn't bring up all the photos. I do have a whole bunch of photos. I got a lot that I'm be posting on my smoothie page. They were able to try the smoothies. Everybody loved the smoothies. So it was a wonderful event. I got a few more photos I'm gonna show you, and we'll bring on maybe Brother DuPont or Akano, Amanda, just to talk briefly about the conference. What did you take from the conference? And just some of the takeaways about the conference. Another photo, that's Brother King, that's heading the committee, the investigative committee. I mean, very bright guy. I love him to death. Cool as wind. He was at the conference. That's myself at the conference, and we were doing a thumbs up for the smoothies. And like I say, I didn't post all of the photos. I just posted the ones that was pushing the Shem Malachi Bay's proposal that I know of. That's Brother Kano, wonderful guy. I mean, he helped me a lot at the event making the smoothies. He helped the event in a whole. I won't even mention a lot of the stuff. But look at the setup. Pacola did a wonderful job, and the staff, everybody that assisted her with getting this event set up. I mean, they put their time in it. They had it looking, amazing all the way to the T. Everything was purposeful, and so the decoration was just off the charts, off the charts. So I bring up Brother Kono if you want to talk about this photo or talk about anything that you want to reflect on about the conference. We'd love to hear from you.
Chase, the photo, we were standing in front of all the flags. There's more flags than what we see, but some of those flags were the flags that took part in placing us in the position that we are today, in the Negro, Black, colored, etc. The conference within itself was amazing. It was great. Everyone, it was a family structure. Everyone felt like there was togetherness. Beautiful people. Like I'm gonna continue bragging about Brother Quasi Smoothies. If y'all haven't tried them, hit the brother up for one. You know what I mean? They're awesome. They're great. Like I said before the recording, when me and Amanda started passing the smoothies around, when they went around the first round, people started getting up because they were so good. They wanted to come get one themselves. I learned a lot at the conference. I learned a lot. And as Brother Quasi said, someone asked us on March Monday, well, what are we doing now? Where do we go from here? And so we're here now. And this is what we're doing. We're going to continue to teach. We're going to continue to share the information. We're going to continue to work in the community. We're going to continue to work with the youth. We're going to continue to work with the people. We're going to continue to come with organized information classes, lectures, events, anything that we can do to help our people understand the political agenda, political legitimacy, the political, what's the word I'm looking for?
Political
Just the
legitimacy.
unity in this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The wholesome in this. And I'll say this, anything that you study, it all goes back to this. And so come on back home, Morris, and I yield.
I seen Brother DuPont. You want to say anything about the conference? It was wonderful to meet Brother DuPont. Amazing brother, amazing more. You want to come on and say anything before we get started? I see Kim.
Islam.
Oh, go ahead.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed myself. It was a pleasure meeting everyone. It was a pleasure meeting you, Quasi, Kono, Amanda. I met a few other brothers, El Kanan and Akeem Bey. I pretty much spent my whole day with those brothers. And we had a beautiful time together. I was able to sit down and eat breakfast with them, lunch with them, and dinner with them. So it was a beautiful thing. I appreciate a lot of Moors that came out to support the event. And we have to do it again. We definitely have to do it again. So Amanda, I had a chance to meet Amanda, beautiful lady, very beautiful lady. So I had a chance to meet her. And I'm hopefully, we have the chance to do it again and move forward with this movement. Oh yeah, and King L Bay, I had a chance to meet him. So if anybody I missed that was there, that's on the call now, I apologize for not acknowledging you on this on my call right here. With that, I yield the floor.
Kim was there. She came there with me, did actually an amazing job helping out at the event. So I do want to commend Kim for all her efforts that she puts in learning this stuff, you know, and projecting it, being the information as she grows in it. But do you want to say anything, Kim, before we get started? Or Amanda?
Yeah, I do want to say one thing. I don't know if I didn't get a chance to meet Figaro Bay. If she was there, I didn't get a chance to meet her. I'm kind of like a shy person in a sense, but that's all I have to say.
Islam?
Now yield the floor.
I'll just add it was nice to meet everybody as well. And I think that one thing that I found really great was that Abdullah was able to bring in people from other groups that weren't necessarily a part of the Moorish movement prior to kind of coming into more recently. And I think that it brings the opportunity to get the message out even further, get the information and the knowledge out even further into that many more people, and that it's not just stuck within the group of conscious Moors as it's kind of been for a very long time, and where it seemed as though people are like, oh, we don't really want to deal with other people who are identifying as Black or African American, that there was just a different mentality. And I like that with the networking and community outreach to those other groups as well, because I think that's going to be very important going forward. That was really all.
Thank you for that. Were you finna come on, Kim? I seen your mic unmuted and
Yes, I was just going to add, it was nice meeting people actually in person that I hear on the call all the time. And again, just adding on to what Amanda said, the unity of the different groups coming together, and also meeting so many sisters and brothers that had programs and experience and things that we're all trying to work within the community, that we can almost use their model and bring it to our community. So it was real nice to do the connection, and it was a great experience. My first time as I learned and in this journey. So thank you all to all of you that I met there. And I look forward to meeting everyone again and continuing to learn.
we all students, and then we grow, we teach, and then we turn back to students, and then we teach. It's an amazing thing. So we'll go ahead and get started. Hope helping our people elevate. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel, Brother Connor's YouTube channel, to be able to get the recordings, not just of the study groups, but some of the other stuff that he has on his platform that you'll love to sit down and listen to. So be sure to subscribe, helping our people elevate. Moroccan Post, government, you need to subscribe there as well. It's a lot of free classes that you can go to and get caught up on a lot of this stuff. A lot of the questions that you have will be answered, or even if you already know, you can share it out, have other people subscribe, and let's continue to make sure we see these numbers increase. So we're gonna do the recap from the last study group. So we'll go ahead and get started. What is a console? What is a console? Anybody want to take a shot? You can post it in the chat, or you can come off your audio and answer, whichever one. What is a console?
And a foreign or international judicial officer.
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
Foreign or international judicial officer. So foreign to the country that one would, like, we're in United States, so it would technically be foreign to us, but I guess international judicial officer.
Okay. Okay. Foreign, just so you all know, foreign does not mean distance. Foreign does not mean distance. It's in relation to one another. It doesn't. Walmart is foreign to Kroger. Taco Bell is foreign to Chick-fil-A. Of course, their rules and procedures, they're different. You know, so it's not, don't think distance. And so a consul, somebody read this.
Council, government, commerce, councils or commercial agents appointed by a government to reside in the seaport of a foreign country and commissioned to watch over the commercial rights and privileges of the nation, deputing them. A vice council is one acting in the place of a council. 2, councils have been greatly multiplied. Their duties and privileges are now generally limited, defined and secured by a commercial treaty or by the laws of the countries they represent. As a general rule, it may be laid down that they represent the subjects or citizens of their own nation, not otherwise represented. BR 2093, Wheat R 435, 6, Wheat R 15210, Wheat 66-1, Mason R 14.
And so Amanda she was right on. She was right on what she said. Attorneys represent whoever. So there's a difference between an attorney and a consul by definition. And so why is it that the masses, we're being pushed to, have attorneys, and we're not being, because they dismantled us. We've been dismantled for its government structure to be able to hold our own. That concept has been dismantled so that we can do things, but we'll be subject to someone else's rule and influence. And so we've been dismantled. So that's the importance. So you can come back into your hole again. Somebody posted, a consul, an official appointed by a government to reside in a foreign country to represent the commercial interests of citizens of that appointed country. I like that definition.
I was going to say where it says a commission to watch over the commercial rights and privileges of the nation. You know what I'm saying? So dealing with nationality, nation, you know what I'm saying? That ties into the council.
Right. And so how would a Moor be a national? These two, so we're talking different nations. So how can you be a citizen of the United States? How can you be a national of the United States Republic? What makes that come into existence? We're talking two different nations, as Brother Connell just pointed. Citizens of their own nation. So you can't be these two different nations. There have to be something in the treaty that expresses how you're able to become a citizen of the United States, as there's the Treaty of Guadalupe. The Treaty of Guadalupe, Article 3, I think it is either Article 3 or 6, talks about how a Mexican can become a citizen. It talks about how a Mexican can become a citizen of the United States. There's no treaties that talk about how more, it can't even be done. And so, as Brother Connor expressed, though, these two different nations, you can't be a national or a citizen of the United States. And not just because we said it, you also can go to the Dred Scott case. Go to the Dred Scott case and you'll see Jeff Rogers, Cheney Rogers, unanimous decision was that an African American or African whoever was never meant nor can be a citizen of the United States in that case, the Dred Scott case.
if I may touch on with you, just to add on with you, after they check out the Dred Scott, then go research the William Dungy case, where he said that he was a Moor, and you'll see the two difference in the word plays, and you'll see, you know what I'm saying? Just go research that.
Post it if you, matter of fact, if you can, Amanda, whoever, post the Dred
you.
Scott case and the William Dungy.
Yes, the William Dungy.
Let's post that in the chat. If you want to expound a little bit on the William Dungy while we at it, that's fine. Or you just can post it. We just
Okay, William Dungy, Abraham Lincoln was an attorney before he was the president. And Abraham Lincoln was his attorney. And in the William Dungy case, William Dungy was, I believe it was his brother-in-law accused him of being a Negro. And so he killed his brother-in-law. And in the case, Lincoln tells the judge that my client is not a Negro, my client is a Moor. And the judge asked, do you mean more like M-O-R-R-E? And Lincoln was like, no, M-O-O-R. It's specific in the case. I'm saying, if she put in the link in the chat, it'll show it. But he explained that his client was a Moor, not a Negro. And he beat the case on that part. I don't know the end result as far as the whole result, but as far as saying that his client was a Moor, M-O-O-R, and he beat that part of the case, it's in there.
Islam. What is the etymology of slave?
Slavic. Someone Russian, I believe is Russian. Yugoslavian.
One of the people who inhabit most of Eastern Europe, late 14th century slave from medieval Latin sclavis, from Byzantine Greek skablos, from a shortening of Proto-Slavic, a Slav, which is probably related to Slovo word speech, which suggests the name originally identified a member of a speech community. Compare Old Church Slavonic, Nemasi Germans related to Nemu, dumb, Greek heterophonous, foreign, literally of different voice, and Old English Fido, which meant both race and language. Did the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and Algiers, October 30th, 1664, talk about British slaves? Did in that treaty, the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and Algiers, October 30th, 1664, did it talk about British slaves? That's a question on the floor. Just take a shot. You can post it in the chat. See where you are. You know what I mean? So just post, say it so you can see where you are. And then you know, you either you know it or you don't. While I wait on you all to post it, I'm just trying to find this Dred Scott case.
Yeah, I just posted the William Dungy. I got it for you if you want me to.
Okay.
Thank you. I was trying to find a like good, clear.
If you can get the part, just that part where he talks about what he says it, the judge, they quoted what he said, that African was never meant nor can be a citizen of the United States. It's in there somewhere. But the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and Algiers, October 30th, 1664, did it talk about British slaves? The answer is yes. Remember, we're reanalyzing the transatlantic slave trade claim. This giving you a basis of concrete evidence on how to relook at the transatlantic slave trade claim and why wasn't any of this mentioned. What was the point, the significance of removing this information? Because they taught you that 12 million Africans came from the continent of Africa to North America, that they transferred during, you know, this 16th century to the 18th to the 19th century, that they transported 12 million Africans. But what they didn't mention is that there were British slaves. You'll see in these other treaties that we're gonna read, there were Christian slaves. They didn't mention this. So what was the motive in removing this information if it had nothing to do with the people over here? What would be the motive? And then you'll begin to see as you continue to come to the study groups. So we're gonna look at the actual treaty. So this is the treaty, Article 3, that all subjects of the King of Great Britain, now slaves in Algiers. So right in Article 3 of that treaty of the Great Britain and Algiers, October 30, 1664, Article 3 proves that it was British slaves during the same time period of the transatlantic slave trade claim. They didn't mention that. That was left out to make it look like they was in supreme authority, as if they was controlling the Mediterranean Atlantic Ocean. They projected that. They used the science of projection, making you feel inferior, that they've always been in control, you know. Are attorneys and consuls' duties the same? Are attorneys and consuls' duties the same?
No.
That's a no.
No.
Right. Yep. The answer is no. And we looked at the definition of consul earlier. Now, some of you may know, has the term Delaware Indians been used to mask the identity of the true Lenni Lenape Moors? Has the term Delaware Indians been used to mask the identity of the true Lenni Lenape Moors?
Yes.
Yeah. I was just gonna say yeah. But
Yeah,
if I may, slight promo, and I apologize. But go check out my American Indian War video. I did something on that subject. I just wanted to touch on that.
okay, yeah. Post it if you can. And so how you can prove that is you go to the Delaware Code, Title 29, State Government, Chapter 1, Jurisdiction and Sovereignty, Section 106, Lenni Lenape Indian Tribe of Delaware Recognition. Section 106, Lenni Lenape Indian Tribe of Delaware Recognition. A, legislative findings. The General Assembly finds all of the following. Section 1, the Lenni Lenape Indian Tribe of Delaware, referred to as the tribe in this section, has an unbroken history of hundreds of years of settlement and continued residency in the vicinity of the town of Cheswold in Kent County. It has an unbroken history. And watch this. Section 2, members of the tribe preserve, display, and manifested close cultural ties with one another by conducting themselves in such a social trust, and economic manner so as to identify themselves as being culturally and ethnically distinct. Then section 3, the tribe can date their ancestral ties back as far as the early 1700s. And then 4, the tribe was formerly known as the Moors. Am I making somebody else read 4? Maybe I'm making it up. I think I'm not reading that right. I'm trying to wipe my eye. What did it say? What does 4 say?
The tribe was formerly known as Moors, and for many decades of the 20th century, state documents such as driver's license designated the tribe's race with an M.
And they tell you that it's the Indians, the Delaware Indians. but it's right in front of your face that they're Moors.
And I think possibly more importantly, that the tribes date their ancestral ties as far back as the late 1700s. So maybe not more importantly, but equally as important.
Right on, right on.
I need to get that from you right there. I need to. I'm gonna have to get that right there from you.
And feel free, you all, to chime on to add value as we're building, so we all can see this and get different perspectives of the information. All of it's value, and we appreciate all the feedback of the bill that you all give. So that's straight up telling you the so-called Delaware, the so-called Indians were Moors right here. You ain't got to argue with nobody about no book that came out. I mean, they just told you. And who controlled the Mediterranean Sea during the same time period as the transatlantic slave trade claimed, according to the treaties? The Moors and Turks. The answer is the Moors and Turks. And so we're reanalyzing we know that they taught us that millions of Africans came from Southwest Africa across the Atlantic Ocean into the Caribbean, the North America and different areas. We know that they say Christopher Columbus discovered that he discovered. We know that they telling us all this, but what was the cover? We know that that's not true. We know that that's not true, and so we're under attack by language to displace us from the land, so that we'll be paying utility bills for the rest of our lives, taxes, rent. Lafayette, Lagrange, Marquise, he said himself, let's make them tenants in their own land. Let's make them tenants in their own land. And so the purpose of creating an institution, a so-called educational institution called high school, middle school, elementary school, was to trap the mind of the autochthonous people, the native people of the land, so that they would become tenants in their own land, so that we would be paying utilities, taxes, and just taxes on like King always tells us. You pay taxes when you buy something from the store. You pay taxes when they take it out of your check. You pay taxes at the end of the year. You pay, all kind of different taxation systems set up to keep you. That's the slavery. And they're enforcing it by legislation. It's being enforced by legislation. It's there. So when they tax you, when they seize your house, it's done through legislation. So that's why it's important to know where you're from, because now you're dealing with jurisdiction and territorial sovereignty. And so that's the purpose of teaching the people that they came from a different continent, that they're Negro, Black, and colored, so they wouldn't be connected to anything that will be as a shield to protect them from the legislation that's being issued. It's just like shooting you with a gun. We have no armor, you have no bulletproof vest, you have no defense system, you're not making your own ammunition, so you're not shielded for that kind of attack. Food, you go get the medication. If you don't have knowledge that food is medicine, you don't have a shield for the pathogens and the viruses that they let out or that they put in the foods. So the treaties is your shield for the foreign legislative attacks that they use to tax you, for you to pay utility, for you to have to send your children to school, or they'll lock you up. They're using legislation to do that. When you're traveling in your vehicle every year, you have to renew your tag. Every so many they taking your energy. You got to go spend your energy, the cost of your energy, to get the Federal Reserve note. You have to turn around and use your energy. You have to give your energy to them to be able to travel, to be able to travel in your own land. You have to have a tag. That's the importance of knowing where you come from, so that you can connect yourself back to international law, where you can be fully protected. So it's not that this is no good, that is no importance. And so that's why it's important that we reanalyze the transatlantic slave trade claim. So when we do our homeschooling, what we teaching our children, we can examine it and put forth evidence to dispel this thing that we're under, where we, we caught up and we want to, some of us want to, I'm gonna move back to Africa and stay as Negro, Black, and not understanding that we've been traveling back and forth for thousands of years. And so they taught us during the transatlantic slave trade claim that they were bringing manufactured goods from Europe to Southwest or Northwest Africa. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying, but what caused it to be, though, the treaties and the Moorish influence. They didn't just do it upon their own will. I'm just going to go do it. That's not the case. So you look at the treaties and you see the contract, and you see the identified parties in the contract. And then you're able to see how they were able to do it. It wasn't upon their own will. This is a stone head found in South America. And that looks like you and I. The heads date from at least 900 BC and are a distinctive feature of the Olmec civilization of ancient Mesoamerica. So you've been traveling back and forth from what's known today as Africa across the Atlantic Ocean to what's known as the Atlantic Ocean to what's known as North and South America. So you've been here. And this is anthropology, an anthropological connection showing, using artifacts that was found. And the scientific study of material remains, such as tools, pottery, jewelry, stone walls, and monuments of past human life and activities. So what they taught you in high school, why didn't they mention archaeology and show you the artifacts that was found? Because it wouldn't resonate with their claim. They gave you the images of an Indian. Brother Kono on one of his study groups, Harlikis, what was his name that started distorting the images, depicting the images as the lighter skin.
The ones we see today.
What was his
and
name?
then they had the TV films, they had the actors, they had the TV film, they had actors like Iron Eyes Cody and various others. Even Elvis Presley put on the native feathers and pretended to be an Indian. So yeah, you had various people of that complexion that took on that identity.
Islam. And so
But
archaeology.
Alex Hadlika was the original. Yeah.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
My apologies. Alex Hadlika was the name of the guy who did that.
Okay. And y'all see how powerful it is, this distortion of imagery, of images as a weapon, though. I'm putting it in the same category as a gun. I'm putting it in the same category as bombs. I'm putting it in the same category as poisoning your foods. To distort the images of the ancient people of the land to make them appear as if, even in movies, cartoons, magazines, that is a weapon, a mental weapon, so that you can continue to be taxed, be paying utilities, being taxed on all things that you purchase, and being subject to a foreign government without any protection. They got us arguing the Constitution. So they got us trapped in a container and we not able to get out. So they can continue to shoot legislation at us. They can continue to plant mines amongst us, the legislative mines that explode when you don't have rent at the end of the month, because they constructed how much minimum wage would be, or the bomb that they'll drop from the airplane, when you go to school, they knock you across the head, hit you with an EMP strike. So you can't, it's like you can't use, you can't use what you normally would use. So you're crippled. So they're using these mechanisms to cripple you and to have us, in a passive mindset where we won't move forward because we don't have a vision forward. And so this is the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and Tripoli, signed at Tripoli, July 19th of July, 1716. Somebody want to read this?
Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and Tripoli, signed at Tripoli, 19th July, 1716. Articles of Peace between His Most Sacred Majesty George, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, and the Most Excellent Lords Mehmet Bey, Isuf Dey, Siban Ray, the Divan, and the rest of the officers and people of the city and kingdom of Tripoli. Renewed and concluded and ratified this 19th of July, 1716, by John Baker, Esquire, Vice Admiral of the Blue Squadron of His Britannic Majesty's fleet, and Admiral and Commander-in-Chief of His Majesty's ships employed and to be employed in the Mediterranean, being properly empowered for that purpose.
So they talking about the Mediterranean. So now you'll see what gives them the authority to be safe, to not be molested and misused upon the sea. There's not the Atlantic Ocean. We're not talking about yet. We're talking about a smaller body of water. And so they're still dealing with how to move around in the Mediterranean during the same time period as the transatlantic slave trade claim. And so they having treaties is what allowed them to move. That means they didn't have the power. They had to negotiate treaties to not be able to be molested, kidnapped, and their ships to be boarded and to taken as booty, as prize, taken as prize. Booty mean prize. To be taken, and ransom. So you had different orders, the Trinidadian and Mercedarian orders that was set up, the church, etc., that was set up to raise finance, to pay the Moors and Turks to get their people back out of bondage. They were paying the ransom in the treaties. They were paying, I don't know if it talks about in this particular treaty, but you'll see in the treaties where they're paying ransom costs to get their captives back. And these are people of high esteem, not just anybody of their country. And so all this going on during the claim that they taught our children, that they're teaching your children now, that millions of children, millions of Africans was transported from the continent of Africa to the continent of America during the same time period as all this going on. And so keep in mind that they're referencing the Mediterranean. They also mentioned the Divan, and the Divan is your government structure. The Divan, which is set up of multiple officials. The Divan is a complex of multiple officials. Some the Bey, the ministers, etc., makes up the Divan. And but go ahead, Amanda. I just wanted to offer that. And keep in mind, you all, at this time, the United States doesn't exist. So while these treaties are being made right at that time, the United States does not exist. Your founding fathers, all of that, it does not exist. And so we'll see when the United States makes that Declaration of Independence in 1776 that they lost their treaty protection. They abandoned the treaty protection that was between Great Britain and Morocco, because now they're saying that they're not part of Great Britain, that they're an independent nation. They're not part of England and Great Britain, that they're an independent nation. So when they made that declaration, they lost all treaty protection. The United States don't exist. At the time of this treaty, the United States of America does not exist. The colonies are still being established, but they're able to establish it because of the agreements with the Moors and Turks, not upon their own authority. All right.
Article 1, In the first place, it is agreed and concluded that from this time forward forever, there shall be a true and inviolable peace between the most serene King of Great Britain and the most illustrious lords and governors of the city and kingdom of Tripoli in Barbary, and between all the dominions and subjects of either side. And if the ships and subjects of either party shall happen to meet upon the seas or elsewhere, they shall not molest each other, but shall show all possible respect and friendship. 2. That all merchant ships belonging to the dominions of Great Britain and trading to the city or any part of the kingdom of Tripoli shall pay no more than 3% custom for all kinds of goods they shall sell, and for such as they shall not sell, they shall be permitted freely to embark it again on board their ships without paying any sort.
And so you'll see that Great Britain is paying customs within the dominions, I mean, the territorial sovereignty. And you'll see in this treaty where they mention the island of Minorca and how that applies territorial sovereignty. And then you'll begin to see and put it together as time, progresses what's going on. But you'll see them paying a custom, a tax, a custom, same concept. They're paying a custom to do stuff in order to go into certain places. Picture if you went into Walmart, you had to pay 10 Federal Reserve, $10, or 10 Federal Reserve notes to go into Walmart. Just to go in there. And so you'll see them paying, you'll see the customs and taxation that the Great Britain was paying to Morocco annual tribute during the same time period. Remember, the so-called Negro, Black, and colors that was transported, they saying is you. These people are more. So that's why they had to separate it. And we talked about that in the previous study groups. We broke it down, how we connected in the Geneva Bible, in the King James Bible, we contrast that. We looked at stuff like the Delaware Code. We looked at the Fathers of the Race Paradigm. We looked at J.R. Rogers' book, Nature Knows No Color Line, and other things that's well settled, that the Negroes, the so-called Negro, Blacks, and colors are really the Moors. And so you'll see them paying taxation, customs to the Moroccan Empire during that same time period that they taught us that we were slaves, which we also looked at the etymology of slave. So we see a distortion, and we seeing words being used to subject the people. But somebody go ahead, we can continue to read.
3. That all ships and other vessels, as well as those belonging to the said King of Great Britain, or to any of his Majesty's subjects, as also those belonging to the kingdom or people of Tripoli, shall freely pass the seas and traffic where they please, without any search, hindrance, or molestation from each other, and that all persons or passengers of what country whatsoever, and all monies, goods, merchandises, and movables to whatsoever people or nation belonging, being on board of any of the said ships or vessels, shall be wholly free and shall not be stopped, taken, or plundered, nor receive any harm or damage whatsoever from either party.
And you'll see traffic. You see how they use the word traffic. And so the word traffic being used in different ways, because we think that we're committing traffic. When we get in our cars and go do something for your children, we say that that's traffic. But go ahead.
4. That the Tripoli ships of war or any other vessels thereunto belonging, meeting with any merchant ships or other vessels of the King of Great Britain's subjects, not belonging in any of the seas appertaining to his Majesty's dominions, may send on board one single boat with 2 sitters besides the ordinary crew of rowers, and no more but the 2 sitters to enter any of the said merchant ships or any other vessels without the express leave of the commander of every such ship or vessel. And then upon producing to them a pass under the hand and seal of the Lord High Admiral of England, The said boat shall presently depart, and the merchant ship or ships, vessel or vessels, shall proceed freely on her or their voyage. And although the commander or commanders of the said merchant ship or ships, vessel or vessels produce no pass from the Lord High Admiral of England, yet if the major part of the said ships or vessels company be subjects of the said King of Great Britain, the said boat shall presently depart, and the merchant ship or ships, vessel or vessels shall proceed freely on her or their voyage. And if any of the said ships of war or other vessels of his and said Majesty, meeting with any ship or ships, vessel or vessels belonging to Tripoli, if the commander or commanders of any such ship or ships, vessel or vessels shall produce a pass firmed by the chief governors of Tripoli and a certificate from the English consul living there, or if they have no such pass or certificate, yet if the major part of their ship's company or companies be Turks, Moors, or slaves belonging to Tripoli, then the said Tripoli ship or ships, vessel or vessels
shall proceed freely. I didn't, but it does shall proceed freely. But you see who they talking about? Turks and Moors and Englishmen. You know, you'll see also they'll reference the Turks and Moors as Muslimin. You know, instead of using Turks and Moors, they'll say Muslimin. They say barbaric pirates. You know, and so that's the power of words to kind of know what's going on, even in grant writing. The power where you can use words in grants to be able to get finance, be able to get
We
funding.
also may see Mohammedans in some of these treaties.
Mohammedans, yeah. Right on. So yeah, you all see that they identified the party, Turks and Moors. That no commander or other person of any ship or vessel of Tripoli shall take out of any ship or vessel of his said majesty's subjects any person or persons whatsoever to carry them anywhere to be examined or upon any other pretense, nor shall use any torture or violence unto any person of what nation or quality whatsoever, being on board any ship or vessel of his majesty's subjects upon any pretense whatsoever. That no shipwreck belonging to the said King of Great Britain or to any of his majesty's subjects upon any part of the coast belonging to Tripoli shall be made or become a prize. So the reason that it's specific stipulations that we'll continue to read, that mean it's happening then. So that a treaty, you conclude the terms so that there can be peace. So the reason I'm just saying, just contrasting it or analyzing it, the reason that they're saying that they shall not become a prize or be made a prize is because previously they had became prize, or it wouldn't be no need to say this. And so you'll see that Great Britain was not in a place of superiority to be traveling, capturing millions of people to a continent being known as North and South America, while they still establishing colonies. So keep in mind now that the colonies are still being established during this time period. So what are 12 million so-called slaves going to? Now you still got the Indian War, I'm just putting it in. You got the Indian Wars going on. So they over there fighting. They transport millions of slaves, paying, and so you begin to see that they left out a lot. They wasn't establishing colonies, paying taxes and customs, being kidnapped by the millions themselves, Christian slaves, Muslim masters, which we'll learn about, getting their ships boarded by so-called pirates, by Moors and Turks. All this going on, and you transporting millions of, and then you say, hold on, so they leaving out something. And so I'm just using the treaties as a basis to be irrational. Well, why we're saying, not saying that it didn't happen. I won't walk up to somebody and say the transatlantic slave trade did not happen. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying to the degree that they projected it, the treaties don't support that it happened in that manner. Not saying that it didn't happen at all, because it was a thing that was happening. People were being enslaved, both Moors and Englishmen, Spanish, French, both were being captured. But was it 12 million from the Southwest Africa across the Atlantic brought to the colonies and made slaves? We recontrasting that using the treaties, something that's well settled. That no shipwreck belonging to the said King of Great Britain or to any of his Majesty's subjects upon any part of the coast belonging to Tripoli shall be made or become prize, and that neither the goods thereof shall be seized, nor the men made slaves. They had to say this because it was happening. But that all subjects of Tripoli shall do their best endeavors to save the men and their goods. Article 7, that no ship or any other vessel of Tripoli shall have permission to be delivered up or to go to any other place in the admitting with the said King of Great Britain to be made use of a corsairs, which is a pirate, at sea against his said Majesty's subjects. Article 8, that if any ship or vessel of Tunis, Algiers, Tuatin, or Salil, or any other place, being in war, King of Great Britain, bring any ship, vessel, men, or goods belonging, not permit suing to Tripoli, or to any port or place in that kingdom, the governors shall not permit them to be sold within the territories of Tripoli. So that means that they were being sold. There was a time that they were being sold, or there was no need to say this. Article 10, that either the English consul nor any other subject of the said King of Great Britain shall be bound to pay the debts of any other of his Majesty's subjects, except that they become surety for the same by a public act. That stood out to me because you will hear people talk about the birth certificate and how it enslaved you. And this is just another way to look at it. The birth certificate made you surety. It created a claim for the legislative acts to come into existence. And so they use the law of the sea, maritime jurisdiction, to say that the vessel, the mom that was carrying the baby, the vessel, the mom that was carrying the child, docked onto a port known as the hospital without any flag or any political protection to cover her goods, to cover her vessels. You know, and so without having a flag, a seal, any government structure of protection, they saying that she became prize. And the birth certificate was the public act. That's a public act, the birth certificate, which made, we say that we the name on the birth certificate. So we walk and say, I'm the name on the birth certificate. So they putting you as surety. And so they put themselves still in line with international law, take you out of it and make you surety through contracts. And so you maintain this position when you checking off the applications, you know, when you applying for this, when you going to this, when you going to that, you checking off the application, maintaining your suretyship capacity, operating from the birth certificate name without a government backing of no political process to issue documents to be respected. And so you see yourself become surety through the birth certificate. Article 11, that the subject of his said Majesty in Tripoli or its territories in matters of controversy shall be liable to no other jurisdiction but that of the Dey or Divan. Except, but it don't say attorney right there or anything. It says the jurisdiction of the Dey or Divan. Now you see the purpose of why they had to first take your language, but dismantle you in a way where you don't like when you, your own family, and within your own so-called family, you all have a sense of structure. You know who to go to, the grandma, you know the cousin to call, you know who not to call. And so that's what goes on in government. And so you see the divan just being that government structure, so you have the people to go to when you're correlating business with other nations of the earth. You know, and okay, I guess my Wi-Fi messing up. Let me get the screen share back going, and go to the next article. And so a day, what I was talking about was the divan, and how that's our government structure, and the reason why they needed to dismantle us and make us, put us in a container, want attorneys, and argue the Constitution, and give us these labels so that we wouldn't see ourselves in history. And so a Dey is a ruling official of the Ottoman Empire of Northern Africa, but we know that a Dey is dealing with Moors and Turks. And so this is an official of government. The Dey is a part of the divan, is an official of the divan. And so if somebody just says to you that they're a Dey, then that must mean they have a divan. There's other officials, other officers, that they have a constitution amongst themselves, that they have a permanent population of Moorish voters, that they have a table, that they have a voice in the UN, but if they just telling you that they're a consul, they're just saying, I'm a Dey, I got a consulate set up, because that don't mean nothing. This is a actual process. It's set up in a way it's alive. It's not just you merely saying it. I'm a consulate. I got a consul. I'm a Dey. I'm a Bay. It means nothing of when people make a website and because it moves, it operates. You benefit from it, and so a lot of people tell you that they've already did it. Everything's been done. It's been resurrected. The Moorish Empire is here already in a sense of operation. And then they say they're a consulate, they're a Dey, they're a Bay, but it's an activation. It's like saying that you're ready for war, but you don't have no weapons. You're just saying that you're ready for war. You're just saying that the government's being restored. That's already happened. You're just saying that you're a Dey. You're just saying that you're a consul. You're just saying that the Moroccan Empire is the United States government. It doesn't mean nothing though. It can't be used activated in real life. Article 12, that in case any subject of His Majesty being in any part of the kingdom of Tripoli happen to strike, kill, or wound a Turk or Moor, if he be taken, he is to, then they got people talking about, I got my stand my ground rights. Everything but treaties. I got my stand my ground rights. So, but then you argue, that's your angle of argument. And so you still can be sniped by the sniper that has this code or legislation that you didn't know about, and just continue to play the game with you, because they just using colorable terms. They can be modified and used to benefit the situation. It has no concrete meaning when they're using their foreign mandates and foreign legislation and codes and statutes. It's for war purposes. It's not sincere and honorable. So there's no need to go to it to support yourself. It's not meant for you. He is to be punished in the same manner and with no greater severity than a Turk ought to be, being guilty of the same offense But if he escapes, neither the said English consul nor any other of his said majesty's subjects shall be in any sort questioned or troubled thereof. Article 13, that the English consul now or at any time hereafter living in Tripoli shall be there at all times with entire, and then they'll say, we don't need any consuls because this is our land. You only need consuls when you're in a foreign, that's what they'll say to you. Remember, so, but we're talking who's the occupying sovereign right now, who's operating as if they're the sovereign. And so according to international law, you'll set up your consul because it's not, we know who's the national people, the natural people of the land, but the occupying sovereign has territorial claim to the land because they set up operation on your land. And so that's why the consul is needed to operate within a foreign jurisdiction and operating on the land. So we haven't exercised post-millennium to be in the right position. So the consuls is the avenue to take because the United States is the occupying sovereign. And so that's why you want to have consuls. It's not that you're in somebody else's land. They're the occupying sovereign on the land right now. We haven't exercised post-millennium, and that's what we're facilitating so that we could get back in our rightful position. But that's not the case right now, though. So that's why you need consuls, because you're in a foreign jurisdiction. I'm gonna skip it. Or Article 13, that the English consul now or at any time hereafter living in Tripoli shall be there at all times with entire freedom and safety of his person and estate, and shall be permitted to choose his own druggerman and broker, and freely to go on board any ship in the road as often and when he pleases, and to have liberty of the country, and that he shall be allowed a place to pray in, and that no man shall do him any injury in word. So word, you can be injured with words or deed. Article 14, that not only during the continuance of this peace and friendship, but likewise, if any breach of war happen to be hereafter between the King of Great Britain and the city and kingdom of Tripoli, the said consul and all other his majesty's subjects inhabiting the kingdom of Tripoli shall always and at all times, both of peace and war, have full and absolute liberty to depart and go to their own country or any other upon any ship or vessel of what nation whatsoever they shall think fit, and to carry with them all the estates, goods, families, and servants, although born in the country without any interruption or hindrance. So even though they're born in Tripoli, they know that they still citizens of Great Britain through reading that. So there's no citizenship clause that we've read thus far that would make you a national of the United States. He said, even though he's born in the country of Tripoli, he understands that he's still a citizen of Great Britain, a subject of Great Britain, just by reading Article 14. So that somebody have to show you how you're a national of the United States, of any country. They can't just say it to you. So you part of a nation, the Moroccan Empire. Ain't got nothing to do with the nationals. Ain't got nothing to do with that. You part of the Moors. Article 15, that no subject of his said majesty being a passenger, it don't even say Moorish American. That's something that just came about, really. I mean, based on, it just read Moor and Turk, Mohammedans, Moroccans, etc. That no subject of his said majesty being a passenger from or to any port shall be in any way molested or meddled with, although he be on board any ship or vessel in enmity with Tripoli 143. And somebody take article these 3 articles. Preferably somebody new, so we can practice participation. But I understand, I know how, I understand, but somebody new preferably. So we just practicing participation.
That if any of the ships of war of the said king of Great Britain do come to Tripoli or to any other port or place of that kingdom with any prize, they may freely sell it or otherwise dispose of it at their own pleasure without being molested by
So
any.
that mean they was being molested. That mean they weren't freely to sell it. They argued this in the treaty so that they would be free to continue. So that mean they weren't free at first to do all those things. That's why they talking about this. That's why it's mentioned in the treaty, because there was a time when they was not free to do it. So you look at it on now the treaty, they can do it now. And then you start looking at the colonies, everything moving, being set up because of the treaties with the Moors, not because of their own authority. I ain't mean to cut you off, bro. I just want to offer that.
And that his majesty's said ships of war shall not be obliged to pay customs in any sort, and that if they shall want provisions, victuals, or any other things, they may freely buy them at the rates in the market. 17. That when any of his majesty's ships of war shall appear before Tripoli, upon notice thereof given to the English consul, or by the commander of the said ships, to the chief governors of Tripoli, public proclamation shall be immediately made to secure the Christian captives.
The Christian captives, same time period as the transatlantic slave trade. They never taught you that it was Christian captives.
And if after that any Christians whatsoever make their escape on board any of the said ships of war, they shall not be required back again, nor shall they, the said council or commander or any of his majesty's subjects, be obliged to pay anything for the said Christians. 18. That all merchant ships coming to the city and kingdom of Tripoli, though not belonging to Great Britain, shall have free liberty to put themselves under the protection of the British Council in selling and disposing of their goods and merchandise, if they shall think proper, without any hindrance or molestation. 19. That at all times, when any ship of war of the King of Great Britain, carrying his said majesty flag, appears before the said city of Tripoli, and come to anchor in the road, immediately after notice thereof given by his said majesty's council or officer from the ship, unto the day and government of Tripoli, they shall, in honor of his majesty, cause a salute of 27 cannons to be shot off from the castle and forts of the city, and that the said ship shall return and answer by shooting off the same number of cannons.
The United States don't exist while this going on. So who are the more the nationals of what now? See the problems?
Islam.
Can I touch on something that he read at the top?
Oh yeah, hold on.
As I was listening at the top where he was talking about what he was reading, let me get right exactly to it. Okay, I'm gonna just read the whole first part but I'm gonna go with what I read or what I heard. That if any of the ships of war of the said King of Great Britain come to Tripoli or any other port of the place of that kingdom with any prize, they may freely sell it or otherwise dispose of it at their own pleasure, without being molested by any of that His Majesty said ships of the war shall not be obligated to pay customs of any of the sorts. Shall one provision act? Basically, what I was reading, what I heard, they were extorting them. They were robbing them. And so he was saying, you know what I mean, like if they were free and they should pay the same prices as merchant price.
Right, they were taxing them and everything.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
They would extra charge. If it's weed, they was what they was capping on them.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. So yeah, okay. I yield.
And that's good. I'm glad he pulled that out. Yeah, they same thing going on now. You know, people, like if you go to another country, they may try to sell you something that really don't cost as much, type thing. But they were being done like that out in the Mediterranean, the Atlantic Ocean during the same time period that they taught us 12 million of Africans was transported, and they was establishing colonies and going to war with the Indians. Come on, man.
Hey, Islam, brother. I just thought about this. A couple years ago, it was something on the news, right? About they kept saying, or in the so-called conscious community at the time, they were saying it was the Moors and everything, but they were saying somebody was getting extorted over the I don't know if you remember that. It was like big. It was on the news for a little while. You know what I'm talking about?
Not off top.
They were saying it was piracy going on or something like that. This is about 6 years ago, something like that, maybe more than six. But I remember it was a story. You know what I mean? And at the time, they was like, well, they was making somebody made they made the relation like, all right, it was like just like back in the day, when the Moors was was doing all that stuff to them, you know what I mean, to the Europeans and all that. I don't know, it just came across my mind when me and y'all talking about it, whatever. So but it was in the news though. I remember it was real big. It was a whole story. I just can't remember who it was that was getting jacked up out there, but yeah, I mean that was like a big thing for a little while on the news and stuff like that.
Islam. And what people try to do to you if you come say this, they'll be like, let's say some other nature. What somebody told me, oh, the Moors were horrible people, they were enslaving. Then they'll try to act like they always knew this already. And the Moors are such a bad people, they were enslaving people. And so when they try to come like that, I let them know I'm not arguing. I'm not saying if it was right or wrong what happened. I'm not arguing that. This is we just going over what happened, and how they used manipulation of history to give you a different perspective of the story. I'm not arguing with nobody if it was right or wrong or which one was more severe. Did the United States do the Moors worse than we did them? I'm not arguing that part of it. I'm just looking at what was going on, what was happening. I'm not concerned which one was worse. It happened. This was going on, and that just came to my mind for some reason. But that's what I've had a conversation with somebody, and they'll try to play that card like the Moors are such a terrible people, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not arguing if it was bad or good. This is just what was going on, and this is where we are today. And this is a book that, since they talked about Christian slaves in the treaty, you also can get this book, Robert C. Davis, Christian Slaves, Muslim Mastery, White Slavery in the Mediterranean, the Barbary Coast, and Italy during the same time period as the transatlantic slave trade claim. Christian slaves during the same, according to the treaties, according to books, but not the history books that they gave us in school, because there was a motive. Remember, we put in words on the same level as guns, bombs, poison in food, gas masks, you know, gas bombs, flashbangs, bow and arrows, you know, axes. We're putting words in that same category. And they use this as a weapon to make sure we continue to pay utilities, taxes, you know, that we can't control our children because you'll go to jail for whooping them or whatever. You don't control nothing. That was the point. And to use language to be able to facilitate that being achieved. So they see that language was important and they used it to their benefit. And that's what a Negro, Black, and colored thing comes to fruition for them, is because they can get you to believe that you are that. Now it kind of removes you from your international view, from your international protection. You become booty. You're a prize. You lost. And so in his book, Christian Slaves, Muslim Masters, White Slavery in the Mediterranean, the Barbary Coast in Italy during the same time period, translate 1500 through the 1800s, concluded that 1 million to 1.25 million ended up in bondage, Christian slaves. They didn't tell us this though. Somebody forgot. U.S. scholar claims more than 1 million people were captured by African pirates. North African pirates, the Moors and Turks. See how they playing on words to have y'all off balance? It's like a crossover playing basketball. You can't get on defense because you don't know what's going on. They keep crossing you over. They keep spinning. They setting picks. They calling plays. They throwing alley-oops. You know, they're using stuff in different ways while they, you know, to score for their goals. Their scoring is them taking away, make you pay the utility bill, paying tax. You know, can't control your children, can't educate your children, you know, can't defend nothing because they use legislation as a weapon. And so all these are the different spin moves, the crossovers, and that's the goal for them. And the North African pirates abducted and enslaved more than 1 million Europeans during the 1530s to the 1780s in a series of raids which depopulated coastal towns from Sicily to Cornwall, according to new research. Thousands of white Christians were seized every year to work as, now when I'm not arguing if it was right or wrong. I don't really care to argue with nobody about that. Just know that what was going on. Don't get into who did who worse. Thousands of white Christians were seized every year to work as galley, slaves, laborers, and concubines for Muslim overlords in what is today Morocco, Tunis, Algeria, and Libya, it is claimed. During the same time period as the transatlantic slave trade claim. Then we go back to the treaty. Article 20. That no merchant ship belonging to Great Britain or any other nation under the protection of the British consul, and don't say under the protection of the British attorney, in the port of Tripoli shall be detained from proceeding to the sea her voyage longer than 3 days under the pretense of arming out the ships of war of this government of any or any other whatsoever. That no subject, Article 21, that no subject of the King of Great Britain shall be permitted to turn Turk or Moor in the city and kingdom of Tripoli, being induced thereunto by any surpriser whatsoever, unless he voluntarily appear before the Dey or governor with the English consul Druckerman 3 times in 24-hour space, and every time he declare his resolution to turn Turk or Moor. They're talking about political allegiance. And so Great Britain, through this Article 21 of this treaty, a British subject could be protected under the Moorish Empire. But you don't read, I haven't read a treaty yet that says that a Moor, the process for a Moor to become a citizen of Great Britain, a Moor to become a citizen of the United States. You looking at, so the language is there. It shows you that if it shows you how it comes about. And so in the treaty, it's talking about how a citizen of Great Britain can become under the protection of the Mohammedans, the protection of Islam. And they explain to you how that process can be laid out. There's no process on how Moore can become a national of the United States. There's not a process on how Moore can become a citizen of Spain, citizen, you know. I mean that, you know, I haven't read that. I haven't read that treaty. And even if it is, you didn't go through that process. You were captured and subjugated. There's no evidence that you went through any process to denounce your allegiance to the Moroccan Empire. Article 22, that the most serene king of Great Britain's consul residing in Tripoli, aforesaid, shall have liberty at times when he pleaseth to put up his said serene majesty flag on the flag staff on the top of his house, and there to continue it spread as long as a time as he pleaseth. Likewise, the said consul to have the same liberty of putting up and spreading the said flag in his boat when he passeth on the water. And no man, I don't think all of it got brought over. Article 22. And that no man whatsoever to oppose, molest, disturb, or injure him therein, either by word or deed. And this, I'm getting this out of Moors and Masonry. I have the book here. You all can order this book, Moors and Masonry. You can order Moors and Masonry by going to moorsandmasonry.org to order. That's why I got the book there, because if you just Google this treaty, it didn't come up for me. So I don't know if he got this through like the archives or some kind of other way. But the treaty between Great Britain and Tripoli of 1716, other treaties came up, but I didn't necessarily find this treaty when I tried to find it. So that's why I was using this book as a tool to bring out some of the treaties that I couldn't find. It's a history book. You know, you can use it to create curriculums and everything as we build our homeschooling and teach our own history. You know, and things, this stuff can be used. You don't have to recreate everything. You just got to present it in a way that the mindset will receive it. But the evidence and the information can be found in Moors and Masonry by Abdullah El Talib Mosley Bey. Article 23. This is powerful. You'll get a chance to see territorial jurisdiction activate. At least for me, in the treaty, I was able to see it. You know, when I read this article, that whereas the island of Minorca, I think it's this article, whereas the island of Minorca in the Mediterranean Sea and the city of Gibraltar in Spain have been yielded up and annexed to the crown of Great Britain. And we know that, you know, the Trafalgar, Grenada, and other things dealt with it, with what's being mentioned. That's the Treaty of 1491. As well as the King of Spain, as by all the several powers of Europe engaged in the late war, now it is hereby agreed and fully concluded that from this time forward, forever, the said island of Minorca and the city of Gibraltar shall be esteemed in every respect by the government of Tripoli to be part of his Britannic Majesty. So now it helped me to see, because at first I was like, well, how did I know the Moroccan Empire, you know, was over here in North and South America? And you begin to see jurisdictional extension, where you have the house and then the house extends. You know, then you correlate the anthropology, you know, the stone heads, and then you start to put it together and say, damn, we've been here. So you'll see the Morocco, Tunis, Tripoli, you know, Algiers right there on the coast, you know, and on the coast having access to the Atlantic Ocean, known as the Atlantic Ocean. So you'll see why it makes sense for them to have that extension of jurisdiction to be over here, as you see Great Britain fighting for the same thing. And you see Great Britain setting up colonies. And those colonies, they was able to operate and do stuff inside of in our land, on Moorish land, within the colonies. And so you'll see the extension of jurisdiction being right in front of your face. So don't have it in your mind that us, the Moors, that we couldn't have a vast empire, a vast estate, because you're looking at the dismantling of it within the treaties in our position now. And so it just, when I was reading this, it just helped me to say, oh man, I can see, Great Britain in the treaty, Treaty of Grenada, Spain, and how they would annex an area. And now that they would have authority and able to have jurisdiction to do stuff in that area amongst their own subjects. And so I was like, if Great Britain can do it, then keeping in mind the Moorish Renaissance, when they, and you'll learn more about that as we go in the presentation, which we probably won't get to today, but you'll see, we'll go through about 15 fun facts during the Renaissance, and you'll see that they didn't even have readers. Some people had never seen a book before, so you look at their progress and you see that they didn't have this kind of power that's being presented. But then you see them beginning to extend their jurisdictional capacity through Article 23, and just kind of so you can see how you was able to do it. Not because they did this, but I'm saying it gives you something to look at to show that knowing that you've already been here thousands of years, hundreds and thousands of years, it gives you an idea of why you did that previously, because you see them trying to do it. And so they coming out of their dark ages, hundreds of years, move forward. Now they begin to try to explore more, because now they have knowledge that they didn't have previously. And so I just thought I would say that that's how it kind of helped me when I was looking at it. As well as by the King of Spain, as by all the several powers of Europe engaged in a late war, now it's hereby agreed and fully concluded that from this time forward, forever, the said island of Minorca and the city of Gibraltar shall be esteemed in every respect by the government of Tripoli to be a part of His Britannic Majesty's own dominions, and the inhabitants thereof to be looked upon as His Majesty's natural subjects. So I know you had the Spanish-speaking Moors to be known as the Moriscos, and so they saying that these people would be, these types of situations, we supposed to look at them as the Majesty's natural subjects. They're specifying it because they knew that it would be. We had to make sure that they had to make sure that they get that specified within the treaty.
Hey, Islam, brother, can I add on something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just thinking about something that you said just now. As far as it was a conversation that was going on the other night, and I heard, it was being said, like, as far as the languages go, as far as it's always been said, like, we speaking somebody else's language, or this, we take our names ain't ours and all that. And that's nonsense, because like you said, these people could barely even talk, and I don't even know what language they were speaking, but English that's ours. Like, really our language, we pretty much did it. But I'm just saying, that language, the language that we speak right now is ours. It was always ours, and we created it. And whenever a new word become brought out, whether it be bling bling or any other swing word, it get added right onto the dictionary. You know what I mean? And that's because we the gods, the sovereignty, the sovereigns and all that stuff, we came up with it. So whenever we come up with a new word, it just automatically gets added on to the vocabulary. You know what I mean? For everybody that's speaking to go. This is, you said it came across our mind, so that was just a little side point. That's all.
And you'll see in the treaties that it was signed in Arabic. The Majesty's own dominion. So he said, and the inhabitants thereof to be looked upon as His Majesty's natural subjects. in the same manner as if they had been born in any part of Great Britain. So you see when I'm going to show you the island in a minute, and you'll see, that's an extension of jurisdiction. That means jurisdiction can be applied to other areas. And so they're not from the land. They annexing it. And that they, with their ships and vessels wearing British colors, shall be permitted freely to trade and traffic. So you're not in the state of Georgia, state of all that's how they getting you. It's all part of the capture. In any part of the kingdom of Tripoli, and shall pass without any molestation whatsoever, either on the seas or elsewhere, in the same manner and with the same freedom and privileges as have been stipulated in this and all former treaties in behalf of the British nation and subjects. And you'll see here where Tripoli is. And so just so you know where Tripoli is, and you got the Mediterranean Sea. That's where everything's going down at in some of these treaties. And then you have the island of Minorca over to your far right, and you'll see what's Al-Andalusias, now Spain, because Spain, the Treaty of Granada and things that happen in that area. But you'll see that their extension in the water, now they're saying that Minorca is part of, His Majesty's dominions. But the people originally there was not part of His Majesty's dominions. And so you'll see subjugation. And of course, but their blood is still more. But they saying that they're gonna be subjected because of the territorial sovereignty that they're expressing through the treaties now, but because of whatever happened. They was able to negotiate, what they negotiated in the treaty. So that's Minorca. And so we reanalyzing the transatlantic slave trade claim. And remember, they taught us that all that stuff going on, remember the 13 colonies are still being commenced at this time. There's still so-called Indian wars, Moorish wars over in North America. All this going on, 12 so it becomes illogical to accept it. That's why they buried the Moorish history. They didn't mention it at all. They didn't mention it at all. And I gotta read. I must have left that part out. Let me go. I'm finna get ready and close. Okay. Yeah, and so these are when some of the colonies were being established. And that was during the same time period as these treaties coming about and flourishing, even though that treaty was 1716 that we're reading. So some of the colonies had already been established, but it talked about former treaties. We read other treaties within the other study groups, but I'm just reading this particular one today. But you'll start contrasting and say, dang, these treaties being made, all this going on during this same time period. And so I'm gonna stop it right there, and then next time we'll start back up with the coats of arms. And then we'll go into another treaty. The other treaty that we'll read from Moors and Masonry Part 1 is the treaty between Great Britain and Morocco, 1721. The one we just read was 1716. And so we'll begin to see more and more details and more evidence of Moorish power at the time period of the transatlantic slave trade. Keep in mind that the so-called Negro, Black, and colored people are Moors. Keeping that on the forefront of your mind so that you see the motive why you have to pay taxes everywhere. You see, we talked about customs in the treaties. So these customs that they had to pay when they were coming into certain ports, that's taxation. And so the same thing is taxation. And so you'll see us in a more sovereign capacity during the same time period. But Negro, Black, and color only get taught slavery. They don't get taught their history, because your history is your roots. And I can compare the roots to gardening and agriculture. The purpose of the roots of the plant is to extract nutrients, from the soil. It's the phosphorus, the nitrogen, the potassium, because the photosynthesis from the sun breaks down the micro nutrients, the microorganism, for the roots to be able to extract that nutrients and releases it to the plant, so that the plant can become fruitful and people can benefit from it. Same thing with your history. You're able to carry on your rites, your traditions, your festivals, holidays, ceremonies as nutrients, so that the rest of the world can become, and your own children and posterity can become fruitful. So it's the same concept on why they would strip away your history. It's like cutting off the roots to a plant. It won't grow anymore. It won't be fruitful. It won't be able to extract the nutrients and the history, the value, the power. And so you become unfruitful. And that's all. Anybody want to add anything before we close here today?
I just want to say great presentations, like I always say, and I like how you touched on, we have to keep in mind that the treaties were in effect, the so-called American Indian Wars were taking place, and so-called slave, all these things were taking place. So just keep that in mind when we think about this slave story that they taught us. You know what I'm saying? And also the word slave, its origin, its etymology, so that we know that that's also a false narrative. I yield. Peace and love, everybody.
Islam. Anybody else want to add a little value, bring some energy in the room before we go? What do y'all think about the presentation? What did you gain? Somebody want to post something that you learned today that you didn't know? I just want to practice participation, so we know that this what it's about. This is, it's not limited to just study groups. That's part of what we got to do that so we can learn, even myself, so we continue to learn, but that's not it. Participation, participation is part of this too. And so, I gotta be like that. That's how I'm gonna be. Anybody want to add anything? Did they learn anything? Anything they want to say? Add, take away, or a story that you went through with somebody, what they said, or anything about this topic?
Now the Islam. The brother had mentioned something about a confrontation somewhere a few years ago, and what it was they was calling a Somalian piracy. Well, the Somalians was boarding ships, and the reason why they was boarding these ships and taking these ships, or trying to take these ships, is because they was dumping toxic waste near their international sea. So that's what it was all about. It wasn't about them trying to take anything from the cargo ships or the vessels. It was the fact that they was dumping chemical waste in the ocean over there. Now yield the floor.
Oh, Islam, appreciate that. Anybody else want to add? I mean, I love it. I appreciate that value, because that's what we're here to do, to build. And like I say, you're a student, you become a teacher, you can become a student, so we all here to iron sharpen irons, so we can be ready for as we move forward, and how to combat different things that's being taught and being said, even through our own brothers and sisters. So we got to be able to be studious enough to be able to combat these things, and not merely just come to the study groups. I mean, that's part of the process. I'm not, but just know that that's not, just know that we got to keep pushing. And I love participation. Anybody else want to say anything? I see some people in the chat. Anybody else learned anything? Want to add anything? Take away anything? Say it.
Islam. So, given that we're operating with maritime law on the people right now, is it right to consider, when there's referencing the vessels, etc., ships, etc., that they're talking also about your flesh, your body, because your body is a vessel on the maritime sea of laws, They also mention the roads. So would that include your like personal transportation, vehicles, and things of that nature? So in that standpoint, do these laws still, are they still operating off of these treaties right now on the people? And if that's the case, then can we find remedy to and going back to the treaties and enforcing some of these things that they was enforcing in the 1600s?
You can enforce, you can enforce the treaties, but you have to have stuff in place in order to enforce the treaty. Some treaties are self-executing and some are non-self-executing. Some of them require consuls, bays to be executed. So the resurrection of the Moroccan Empire is how we gain remedy. The maritime, whatever time jurisdiction that they're issuing is for their benefit and is to displace us as Negro, Black, and colored and put us in a container on how they apply it to us. And so we don't seek remedy. We're not seeking remedy. We're seeking restoration and reversion to sovereignty and exercising post-millennium and reestablishing ourselves with the treaty nations, reestablishing new treaties. The treaties can be used. Yes, your body is a vessel. Yes, they're using color of law and maritime jurisdiction to enslave you. And the treaties are not being used to the Negro, Black, and colors. They're using color of law and using it to displace you from the land. So you, even if you argue maritime, you're arguing in a container. You're saying you're in the state of Georgia. You're saying you're in the United States. You're saying you're in the state of New York, the state of Delaware, whatever. So the remedy, we're not looking for remedy. We're looking for a reversion to sovereignty and post-millennium, reconnecting ourselves back with the treaty nations, not a remedy.
Islam.
If I may, to go back to what you was jump back, because you said they're using the color of law, we must also remember color etymologically means to hide or conceal, and by law, color means it's artificial. And so they're using an artificial law, they're using a fake system to keep us in bondage. I yield.
Islam, but anything else, bro? We just building. Anybody want to add or say anything?
Islam. Yeah, I want to. I kind of had a thing, right? What you were saying, yeah, we definitely in the matrix, and yeah, he was right about that Somalian thing. That was the story that was out, but I don't remember exactly what it was about. I just remember the stuff that's going on like that, policy or whatever. But yeah, kind of want to. That's just a little bit off topic, but the passport thing. I know right now, you know what I mean, we still gotta use it, but so I'm planning on doing like some traveling, you know what I mean, like Mexico and stuff like that. I want to go see the pyramids and stuff. So basically, I know most Def he got caught up with with the traveling and stuff like that. So maybe not now. We don't gotta get into everything, but I don't know. Kind of just it just kind of was on my mind as far as the passport stuff go.
In chess, we learn that every move is connected to other moves, and we also learn that you only can move the pieces that you have on the board, and so we learn to deal with what we have, and not what is gonna be. And so, if you want to travel right now, you're gonna have to travel with a United States passport. That's the piece. That's the tool that you got in order to travel in this time. And right now, as we're speaking, because if I know more say you can do this and do that, but it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking going on, and so we can issue passports once we reestablish ourselves, but we don't want to move. It's not just for traveling. We want to reestablish our structure so that we can protect it for generations to come, not just merely saying a bunch of stuff and they say, oh yeah, you can national of the United States Republic, we'll let you go. And then, oh, I did it, y'all. I used the treaty and all that stuff going on. We use what you have and continue to build and learn, take the least route of resistance, dealing with the policy enforcers and all that's going on, and continue to build in the midst of things. Coexist and begin to build so that it can be permanent, where you don't just let them know you know, activate it to where you can show that you know. There's no need to prove to them that Moore's Treaty passport said this. Reestablish post-millennium, reestablish a Moorish population, reestablish, you know, the political study groups where we meet every other day, you know, reestablish, you know, exercise and agriculture, growing our own foods. Use the pieces that's on your board. Reestablish, you know, what you're able to do, and don't push too hard at I need a passport to travel over here. Use the United States passport right now. Take the least, don't make yourself look belligerent where they're able to use more color to displace you and lock you up and do things to you because we're not operating through unity. Use this time to learn the enemy. And I yeah. So that's, anybody want to add anything else before we depart? Well, Islam, we'll be back tomorrow with Kano study group. So you all be sure it's the same link, but it's not Tribal Ujima study group. It's a Kano's the Hope, helping our people elevate platform. And so be sure to spread the word. Bring on the unconscious brother, because we're gonna slow walk it. We ain't in no hurry. And so bring on the unconscious brothers and sisters, and so that we're able to build and let's continue to put the burden on ourselves. Not on, there's only 12 people here. You yourself bring people on, and it's really not about numbers. It's about quality at this time. And so we all have to be reading and doing stuff outside of the study groups, and so we can become more helpful and useful. When we're not as helpful just listening, you know, so you want to become what me or Kano doing. We're nervous. We're trying it for the first time. We're pushing. It's not nothing drawn out, and we got the help of Moroccan Post School of Government and International Law, you know, to support and to back us. But we're not doing it all alone. And so you start and you use the pieces available, and don't get caught up in what it should be. Get caught up in what it is and how we move to get out of it. And so we'll see you all tomorrow. Islam and peace.